little box on the inside. Takes a couple more steps, but it's not really that difficult. Once you've done one, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You're going to cut a piece of cardstock that's 9 by 9. Again, you're going to score on all 4 sides at 3. Just turn your paper and score it at 3 until you've got your tic-tac-toe board. And then you're going to cut, like I have this drawn, cut out from the corner and up. This is about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, however big you want to make it. And then cut this right here, so that you are essentially removing all of this. So that when you get done, it looks like this. So see how you're going to cut up at a corner like that, and then straight across, and cut this score line and remove this section right here on all 4 sides until you have that. Once you get it to this point, you want to put a piece of score tape on each of those flaps, and then you will need 4 pieces of black that are 2 15/16 by 2 15/16, and 4 of these that are 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. Once again, you're going to mat those to here, and then we are going to attach those on this side, the same side that you put the score tape on the 4 sides. Now you've got that done. Now you want 2 pieces like this that are 2 7/8 by 2 7/8, and 1 piece that is 6 by 3, and you want to score it at 3. Then you want to mat these onto here. Next thing you want to do is we'll close this up, and we are going to put a magnet. This entire project takes 6 sets of magnets. And granted, those are optional. You don't have to put them on there if you don't want to. Alright, you're going to put one of these magnets right here on the outside of this. You want to go ahead and have score tape on both sides of this, but only undo this one side for right now. Put a little piece over that magnet. Alright. Now you're going to center this in the middle of that square. Now then, the other magnet will go right there. And what I do is I lift this up, put that down, and then just cover it back up, because you're not ready to do that yet. Put another little piece over that just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Alright, now we're going to make our box. Turn it over this way, and go ahead and crease your 4 sides. Same thing with your flaps. Just go ahead and fold them in. And one flap at a time, take your score tape off. I hold my flap down like this and line up my sides, and then just let the flap go and attach it just like that. So you see how that's attached in there? And you're going to do that to all 4 flaps. Now we're going to make the accordion piece that goes on the inside of that box. You're going to need a piece of black that is 3 1/4 by 11 3/8. You're going to want to score it at 2 3/4, 2 7/8, 5 5/8, 5 3/4, 8 1/2, and 8 5/8. The reason I do the double scores is so that you have room to put more pictures in there. Right? So you're going to get that piece ready. And you could mat this with any of the leftover pieces you have. These will be 3 1/8 by 2 5/8, and I just did 2 of each of these designs, and I'll put 1 on each side of each design. Now, before you do that, before you put these mats down, you need to put your ribbon down. I'm going to use a piece about like this, because I can always trim it later. And when I did the pink one, my piece was a little bit too short, so I want to make sure I've got plenty this time. On one of the ends, it doesn't matter which one, you just want to center, put your little bit of hot glue, and put your ribbon on, just like that. And now we want to mat all of our pieces down. Got your little book matted. You just want to fold on your score marks. I usually fold the one furthest away from me first. I did them the wrong way. That's okay. Alright. You want to fold them, of course, to where it's like that. And then just tie this closed. Ooh, I almost made it too short again, didn't I? Gotta stop trying to be so frugal with my ribbon. There we go. Alright. Now let's set that aside. And we are going to make our 2 lids. We're going to make our small lid and our large lid. They're both made essentially the same way. The difference is this one's got the bead assembly on the top, and this one, the lid is made with cardstock. So we're going to do the little one first, and then we'll do the large one. Now, one thing you might want to do is I've already made my bead assembly, and all I did was use a head pin and a few beads, and I glued them at the bottom right down here with some glossy accents, and I let them dry like that so that it'll be easier to handle. So you might want to stop and do that before we start assembling our lids, just to give it some time to dry a little bit. Alright, let's get our small lid done first. You will need a piece that is 5 1/8 by 5 1/8. You're going to score it at 1 inch on all 4 sides. And then this one is kind of like that other layer we did, where you're going to cut every other score mark. However, you want to cut the entire score mark out to where there's a little bit of a gap. I hope you can see that. Let me look and see if you can see that. Yeah, see the little gap right there? So you just want to cut a little chunk of it out. Once you do that, you want to put score tape on each corner. You will need 4 pieces that are 3 1/16 by 15/16, and 4 pieces that are 7/8 of an inch wide by 3 inches long. You want to mat these onto these and then attach them on all 4 sides. Okay, battery ran out, so you didn't get to see me put that last one on, but I did. Next thing you're going to need is a piece cut out of the floral paper just like the box, that's 3 by 3, and a black piece that is 3 1/16 and 3 1/16. You're going to mat this onto here, but don't put it on your lid yet. Alright, and then you want to go ahead and put your score tape on it, because once we put the little handle on it, you won't be able to lay it down. And score tape is the best thing to put on this anyway, because it needs to hold the handle. For this next step, you'll need 2 small brads. The ones that I'm using are 4.5 millimeter. They're nickel colored. I have these in my shop as well. You'll need 2 of them. And you will also need a paper piercer. And then you will need a piece that is the same as your sides, that is 3 inches by 1 1/8, and you will need a black piece that is 3 1/16 by 1 3/16. Now, what you want to do is you want to cut a triangle out of each end of these pieces. If you have a better way, maybe you could share it with me. But what I do is I will just fold the very end of it in half, folding as little of it as possible, and then I will just cut the corner off. Just like that. And then I will fold the other side, and to make sure I cut the same amount, I will hold this up and cut the other side. And I will do that on both pieces to make them look like that. Okay. Alright, so now we have these. And mine are never perfect. Sometimes I have to trim them a little bit, but it's a matter of preference on how perfect you want it to be. Okay? So now I've got this. I'm going to trim that up just a little bit on this side. Just so some more of the black shows. Then you want to attach these two pieces to each other. Just like that. I'm just going to use my ATG. Alright, now let me get out my foam mat. This is the piece that's going to go on your lid. Kind of bend this a little bit. Right. Go ahead and get it to the shape you want and set it down. Let's line one side up first. And we're going to poke a hole in it. Just come in a little ways from that corner and poke a hole. Right. You could put your brad in there to hold it in place if you want. And you want to push this one back to where it matches that. And poke a hole on this side. Like that. And what I will do, just to kind of help hold this down, because it wants to pull those brads back out. So we'll take a piece of double-sided score tape here and put it right next to that brad, as close to the brad as I can get it, because I don't want it to stick the whole thing down. Okay. And then put your brads back through the holes. Just like that. And see, this is where that double-sided tape, you can push down and it won't pull up on your brads. And on this side, let's take our score tape off so we can open up our brad. Alright, and once you get it just like you want it, you're going to take the rest of your score tape off and center it on your lid. Make sure you push it down really good, especially where those brads are. And since you can't get in there, you can take the end of your knife or something and just kind of, that way you can push that down. Alright. And now, kind of the same concept as our box, except this is going to have, you're going to do it 4 times. So you're going to fold all these little flaps so that they're pre-folded. We'll start with one corner. We're going to take our score tape off. And you're going to line it up just like this. And do that on all four corners. Okay, now we have our inside box complete. Right. Now let's do our lid for the top, and then we are going to put ours together. Alright, for your top, you're going to need one that's 6 1/8 by 6 1/8. Again, you're going to score it 1 inch on all sides. You're going to cut it just like the small lid on every other score mark, leaving a little bit of a gap, just like before. Okay? And again, we're going to start with our sides. You need 4 pieces that are 4 1/16 by 15 16ths, and 4 of these that are 4 by a 7/8. So they're 7/8 of an inch wide, 4 inches long. Mat them and attach them to your sides. Alright, next thing you're going to need is a black piece that is 4 1/16 by 4 1/16. Another one of the polka dots that is 4 by 4. And we want to mat this one on top of here. Again, don't put it on your lid yet. Okay, I'm also going to go ahead and do my score tape just like before. Okay, we are almost done. We're going to put this lid together, and then I'm going to show you how to assemble everything, and you will have your own box. Alright. You can eyeball this if you choose to. I'm not good at eyeballing stuff. I don't trust myself. So what I do is I will lay my ruler from corner to corner, and I will actually count until I get to the center. Alright, what I came up with was 2 7/8. So that's where I'm going to put a hole for my bead pool. So I laid my ruler from corner to corner and poked a hole at 2 7/8. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull some of this score tape off. Notice how I've already bent the head pin. I tried doing it once and bending it after I stuck it through here, and I tore my paper. So now I do it before that. Alright. And I covered this completely because it's going to hold the whole lid. Alright, I'm going to stick my head pin through here. Trust me when I say that score tape will hold that. Right. And then we're going to put this on here, center it. And then put your lid together the same way as the small one. Alright. Alright, now we're going to gather up all of our individual components. On this piece, you want to flip it over and put score tape here. And on this piece, you want to flip it over and put score tape here. Alright, and then we'll come back and we'll put it all together.